As many of you know, Shell, BP, Exxon, all these like major big oil companies have been reaping record profits from 2022. But now an environmental law firm called ClientEarth is suing personally 11 board members of Shell, saying that they're mismanaging climate change risk and violating, or I guess breaching company law by doing so.
That's so interesting. Are they saying that there's a violation of like the Paris Accords? Like what? That's where it's fascinating. Like I'm speaking strictly in a legal sense and not in a moral sense because I do agree, but not agree that that they're breaching the duty of the shareholders. I just morally agree
Right.
that like we should be cleaning up the earth.
Well, in a statement, Paul Benson, who's a senior attorney with ClientEarth, stated, "The shift to low carbon economy is not just inevitable, it's already happening. Yet the board, speaking of Shell, is persisting with a transition strategy that is fundamentally flawed, leaving the company seriously exposed to the risk that climate change poses to Shell's future success, despite the board's legal duty to manage those risks."
I got it. I got it. So I think this is in the UK, but if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong if you're listening to this and you're an attorney in Europe, but I think the duty. So like in the United States, the duties that we have are the duty of care and duty of loyalty. Pretty sure it's very similar. So they're saying probably a duty of care, where in the event that all of these things occur and the earth does not exist, Shell could not make profits because there's no one left to buy gas or no cars to drive or whatever. So I get the logic. It's definitely an uphill battle, but it's admirable. I respect it because, I mean, I agree with their message here. The earth might not be existing in a form that we can find habitable in, 50, 60 years. So
Right.
hats off for taking the shot. But I mean, legally, I don't know if it's
Well,
that
this is the
strong.
argument I feel like that so many make about publicly traded companies. It's that the short-term profits and the short-term reward to shareholders is kind of the focus of the company, and not kind of longer-term things that need to be done. And so it doesn't seem to me like if I was a board director for Shell, theoretically, I'm not going to worry about something that's going to happen in 2050, right? When that's well beyond my time, or what? Like, how
Yeah, no.
are they supposed to be regulating themselves? Is it supposed to be others coming in and stepping in? The government's coming in and saying you need to start focusing on green energy. Like, it's an interesting question.
Well, you run into this weird spot because as a director, your duty is to the company and the shareholders. So you're trying to maximize profits for the shareholders, and you almost can't even look. I mean, I understand the logic, and I think the logic should be employed that like, hey, everybody, I want to, I know I'm supposed to bring you X amount of dollars or maximize profit, whatever, but we cannot have a profit if the earth doesn't exist.
Right.
And that really should be the thought process. I agree with that 100%. As
Right.
kind of warped it is, it's almost like this warped logic to get to the right conclusion. Because it should just be like, morally speaking, like we should make sure that the earth survives, and that everyone lives in an environment that's habitable. But I do think that probably the government getting involved, where directors are like, I'm just complying with government regulations. I'm just complying with what the government has said. Look, I've complied with my relevant duties. I'm not breaching any duties to whoever. And I do think that's probably the right call, especially in these industries where they are making record profits, unbelievable profits.
Billions. Well,
I
I'm kind of
think all
interested.
The energy companies absolutely
Yeah.
crushed it this year. I think.
Oh
they're
yeah,
record-breaking
2022 was
profits.
off the charts. Yeah, and it's interesting to me also that it's like the directors are getting sued personally, right? It's not Shell as a corporation. It's Mr. X and Mrs. Y getting sued personally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tactic. That's a tactic to employ, and it'll still. It's almost like the same thing because you're still going to trigger. It's either it'll trigger an insurance policy, a directors and officers insurance policy, or the company has agreed to indemnify and defend any of the directors for anything within the course and scope of their work as a director. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a symbolic hit, right? You're going after the directors, but at the end of the day, Shell is the one that will always be paying out. Shell or an insurance company for Shell will be paying it out.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's going to set an interesting precedent, whatever way this goes. But I guess the stakes couldn't be higher, right? This is literally the future of our planet.
I gotta say, like, I respect the move. while I don't know how legally strong it is and why I kind of doubt the strength of the lawsuit, we got to do something. I mean, like, the Earth is not going to survive, another period of time like like it in its present form. I guess it is only going to get worse, and companies that are, moving in that direction, right? Where we have energy companies that are basically pushing forward still fossil fuels and things of that nature to the detriment of the Earth. So more power to you if you're willing to take a shot. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out also on LinkedIn and Twitter to keep up to speed with what we're doing. Catch you on the next one.